everyone, this is Anne, and this is my first knitting podcast. Welcome! So yes, I have always been wanting to make a knitting podcast, but I don't know how to do it. And I've always seen people doing it so naturally. I don't really know how to do it so naturally. So I put it aside for a while until I got motivated seeing some friends from Instagram doing it as well. And I thought I might just give it a try. Why not, right? Yeah, so what should I talk about? So my name is Anne. I am also the owner of Itobito, a hand-dyed yarn shop based in Japan, Osaka. I'm actually from Malaysia. I came here 4 years ago with my husband, and we live with a cat as well. His name is Crayon. Sometimes you might hear his voice, his meows going around the house, but I hope you don't mind. Okay, let's talk a little bit about my background. As you can see, I'm using English in my podcast, but English is not my first language. My first language is Cantonese. I'm a Malaysian Chinese, but my Cantonese is not the formal one. I don't even know what is knit and purl in Cantonese. Yeah, it's a bit complicated, the education in Malaysia. So yeah, my mother tongue is Cantonese, but I mainly use English in my daily work and even at home, my friends, with my husband. But in Malaysia, we use a few different languages together in one sentence, and it sounds okay, but not in other countries. So it might feel weird if I use the way I speak in Malaysia in the podcast. So that's why I think using purely English is better. And yes, my accent is quite strong, I was told. When I was still working in my previous company, my colleagues from Canada and from America and also from Hong Kong said that I have a really strong Malaysian accent, and sometimes they cannot really understand what I'm trying to say, even if it's in English. So I hope that you can understand me just a bit. And I I think I can do a subtitle at the bottom of the YouTube thing, right? I'm not too sure how it goes, but I'll try to do it. And because I think most of my viewers might be from Japan as well, so I will include Japanese as my subtitle. But one day I hope that I can do a knitting podcast purely in Japanese. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Yeah, so when I first came to Japan 4 years ago, I attended a Japanese language class for about 1.5 years, whereby I learned the Japanese language. I somehow can get by here with my almost past kind of Japanese. I can't make really complicated or really deep conversations, but I hope one day that I can achieve that. Yeah, so in Malaysia, I started knitting when I was about 17, right after leaving high school. I joined this vocational school because my mom forced me to. Really. Actually, I didn't really want to go into the school because it's not my passion. I always wanted to do design work. I have always told my mom that, hey, enroll me into a design school, right? And she was like, no, there's no future in doing artsy fartsy stuff. So yeah, she got me enrolled into a computer science school, but I didn't really like it. Anyway, yeah, so I met some friends there, and one of them, she said that she wanted to join a knitting class, which is just opposite our school. And then I said, oh yeah, why not? I'll come with you. So I just tagged along. But I have always wanted to know how to knit. And when someone asks me just like that, I'll just say yes, you know. Okay, then when we went there, the shop was, it wasn't a knitting lesson kind of class, but it's just a yarn shop where the owner is very passionate about knitting, and we just have to pay for the yarn, and he will teach us how to knit. Eventually, my friend managed to knit a sweater in just a few weeks. I was so surprised. While I was just knitting knit and purl stitches and long scarf, just straight kind of uncomplicated scarf. I guess I was a slow learner, but it was fun. It was really fun. I think I started with acrylic yarns. They were really cheap, the scratchy ones. Nowadays we can get really good acrylic yarns, but at that time it was quite difficult to get good yarns, especially wool, and it wasn't really popular because Malaysia is a very hot country all year round. We don't really, I don't remember seeing much wool being sold there. A lot of cotton, yeah. So yeah, that's my knitting history, I guess. So yeah, that was my history about knitting. And how I got into yarn dyeing was when I picked it back up when I came to Japan 4 years ago. I thought, wow, this is a really good country to start knitting again, since stopping for so many years. But even in Malaysia, I knit sometimes, but just not really extensive projects. When I came to Japan, I really start to be serious about this hobby. After quitting my job, and now I have more times in my hands, so I thought I could just, you know, pick up the hobby again and knit more complicated stuff. When I search up on the internet, I found about Ravelry. There are a lot of very interesting patterns and easy to learn. I don't need anyone to teach me, and I just can search it up from YouTube on how to do complicated stitches, or from diagrams. But last time, compared to last time, it was difficult because everything was based on charts, and if there's no one teach you, I don't think it's even possible to complete the whole project. Back to yarn dyeing, yeah. So I got really engrossed in hand dyed yarns. When I got back into knitting, I saw when I searched on the internet, I saw some really interesting yarns, speckled yarns, variegated yarns. I thought maybe I can get it from the shop, right? But it's not so simple. I really couldn't find any at all. So I was thinking, where can I get this? And I was used to seeing yarns in ball of yarns, not in skein. So when I saw them in skeins, the colors are more, how do I put it? They are easier to see. You can see more of the spread of the colors. So when I saw them, I totally got entranced by the beautiful, colorful hand dyed yarns. So I tried to look it up and find where to get, but it wasn't easy. It was pretty difficult. And local hand dyers, actually I thought that hand dyed yarns are available all year round, which whatever colors that I want, just like what I can find in the stores. But it wasn't so simple. After I got into it, I know that it's not so simple. So at that time, I couldn't get the yarns that I want, and buying from overseas wasn't so easy as well. It's the same thing. The colors that I want are not so readily available, so I really have to see what time they update and buy at that time. If not, then everything will be sold out in like what 5-10 minutes. Especially when the time difference from here and the States or here with Europe is crazy. The time difference was crazy. Sometimes when I join like updates, when I went to their updates, it was like maybe 5 in the morning or 3 in the morning. 7 was okay, I guess. So yeah, after that, after a while, I got quite frustrated because I couldn't get what I want. I'm the type of person who wants something and get it immediately. I don't have much patience. So I thought, yeah, let's try uh, dyeing my own yarns and getting the color combinations that I want. Once I I tried, I just fell into the rabbit hole so deep. There's no coming back out. Yeah, I still remember uh, my first project that I completed with my hand dyed yarns was the Clemens cardigan by Joanna Ang. Yeah, it was very satisfying from yarn to the finished project. It was so satisfying that I thought, yes, this is my call. I want to start this. So initially um, I started it small, just wanted to test how people would accept the colors that I show to the world. Eventually, I guess the reception is quite good. I'm really happy with all my customers and all the support that I was given. I'm really grateful. So I'll continue to do this as long as I can. Yes. Yeah. In fact, um, for me to start yarn dyeing is also because of the creative process. I like it because it resembles of my previous work. I was a designer for more than 10 years, and I'm used to doing creative process like uh, what is the first step, second step, third step, and to the final product. And doing hand dyed yarn is almost like that. In fact, it's really similar. And I think I learned a lot, and I get joy in doing this again, where I get a chance to do something creative again. I really enjoy and I'm really grateful that I can continue to do it. Yeah. Okay, back to knitting. There are a few things that I like to knit, namely garments, shawls, and socks. I'm not so much of a hat person, but I do knit them. I would also like to knit mittens one day because it's like a challenge. I don't use mittens that much. Actually, not this year. I used some last year because last year, I don't know, not this year. Last year I didn't use any mittens. 2 years ago I used mittens because it was colder. Last year was quite mild. The winter here was quite mild, so it, I didn't even use Cairo. So yeah, but it was just in Osaka. I think some other places in Japan was pretty cold. So yeah, uh, what else? I like knitting lacy designs, but in a way I have a love-hate relationship with them because I like the end result, but when doing it, it was painful, especially those with cables. I'm not really how to say uh, smooth with my hands. I'm quite careless. Sometimes I drop stitches, and if I drop a cable stitch, I don't think I'll ever be able to knit back up I probably had to frog the whole thing. So, but cable projects make me more attentive to my projects. So I guess my cable or lacy kind of projects are prettier because I'm more careful with them to put it simply. What else? Yeah, but for lace weight projects, it will take me much longer to complete. I've done like 2 or 3 lace weight projects last year. It was quite fun, but it was quite dreadful as well because the time to take to complete the whole project was very long. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so why I started a knitting podcast? The reason I start a knitting podcast is mainly to connect to people, and I was motivated by some people that I know from Instagram, and because I had a Zoom knitting party like 1 or 2 weeks ago, and it was very fun. I really like to see people's faces when they knit and seeing their projects and seeing their whips. Uh, it, 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 it has a different feeling from knitting on my own, and I really like that. So I thought of doing a podcast, a knitting podcast, so that I can show my projects to other people and hopefully can inspire them as well. So let's see. Other than knitting, my other interest is journaling. So I journal, like, even for this podcast, I'm using a Hobonichi Techo, which is a notebook. It's a brand of notebook, excuse me, which I document all my notes, my show notes. Here is like this, and decorate it like with fancy stickers and stuff like that. Yeah, I like to journal. In fact, I think because I like this kind of documenting stuff that I started this podcast, and I also have an active account on Ravelry and Instagram. Yeah, so I guess I have this habit of documenting stuff. Ah. Yeah. Another reason why I do a knitting podcast is to separate myself a little from my Instagram account, as my Instagram account is mainly about Itobito, about my projects with Itobito, about my Itobito yarns, and also showcasing other people's projects using Itobito yarns. But in this knitting podcast, I hope to show more of my projects using other people's yarn. So you can see more of projects using other yarns than Itobito, and sometimes I will also showcase local hand dyed yarns. So yeah, please wait for them. Let's talk about the content of the podcast. So what I plan to do with this podcast is to include my WIPs, or as known as WIPs. I'm used to calling it WIPs because at work we call it WIPs. And then I'll be talking about FOs, of course, maybe some acquisitions of needles or books, and maybe a section or a segment about local hand dyed yarns, and also maybe my daily life in Japan if you are interested. Yeah, I guess that's all. If there is anything that you'd like to know about me or my knitting or Itobito, just let me know, then probably I can put it into the podcast. Oh yeah, another thing, because when I knit, I normally watch drama or a series. So maybe I can talk about those as well. I usually watch on Netflix and on TVer. TVer is a local service where a series will be shown on TV, and after it was shown, it will be published on TVer for a week, and within that week you can watch for free, and the following week you can watch the next episode for free. So I use that to watch the local drama, and it is good also because there are subtitles at the bottom. For English series, I use Netflix. I think the series in Japan is a bit different from the ones in the States, I guess, but I think I get most of them here. Yeah. Okay, let's start with my FOs. Yeah, just to give you a bit of a background, this is my second take of shooting this podcast. My first take, I got so fumbled that I didn't know that I didn't prepare my FOs, and I forgot that I actually had one. And when I said one is in recent weeks, and excuse me, and it was a very funny part of the recording that when I watched it, I laughed it on I laughed at it. So yeah, my FOs. So one of the FO that actually not one of the FO, it's just one FO that I finished is this. Cute, right? This is a beanie, a kitty ear beanie by Sosu Knit. Yeah, it's called the Kitty Brioche hat, and I added some pin badges here. This is a bunny pin badge. I'm sorry I couldn't show you from here because my camera lens is a fixed lens, so it cannot auto zoom. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yes, so sorry. This is, if you can see, this is actually a bunny design, and this is a squirrel. This and this is actually a cable clip, which I used it to decorate the hat. So yeah, so these two are actually from Arizona, from Knitters Without Borders. Yes, I won this actually. So happy. Let's try it on. I can't. I'm wearing a hair clip. I'm so sorry. I will show it later or next time. So okay, the yarn that I used for this hat was DK weight yarn in the new Itobito spring color. There are two yarns combined. The DK yarn is called Kohana Monogatari, which is loosely translated to small flowers, the story of small flowers. And the accompanying yarn is actually a, what is it called? I wanted to say mohair, but it's not. It's suri. Yeah, so it's suri in a very pink color called Hanami. I don't think you can see it here, but I will show it in my Instagram. Yeah, so this is a really cute hat. So this is my 1FO. I have many wigs. Let's start with old ones, shall we? Okay. Where's my okay? One of the old ones, this is almost a year old, is actually a shawl. It's a Venetian shawl by Joji Locatelli. Ta-da! Yeah, this is actually a shawl which I plan to make for my friend's birthday. I started it I think in May last year, but I couldn't finish it, and her birthday was in June. So it got postponed until now, but I hope I can finish it within this year and send it back to Malaysia. Yeah. And the yarn I use is Itobito Merino Singles in Spark Joy. Okay. Next is another oldish project that I started. I forgot when, but it's the trellis wrap by Yuki Ueda. This is all that I have done. It's a really beautiful, really beautiful, very elaborated long wrap with cables. So yes, can you see how beautiful it is even with this age? So okay, the yarn that I used is Itobito sock in Whimsical. Yeah, Whimsical. Kimagure. So yeah, I'm not sure when I can finish this. I hope I can within the year. That's my aim anyway for all my whips. Finish within the year. Okay, my next one is this big project. Ta-da! Oops. It's the Stripsavaganza shawl by Stephen West. Ta-da! Oops. It's huge. So I've only finished three sections. There are a few more to go, but it was really fun. I was so excited when it started, and it was so exciting to see the clues coming out each and every week. But at that time I was a bit busy with shop updates and other things as well, so I couldn't really catch up. But I will finish this before the next mystery knit along, and at that time I aim to follow it every week and complete every week. Yay! The yarns that I use. Yeah. So the blue one is Amibie no Megumi, which is Amibie's fortune. The whitish one here, which is this one, is Tenyo no Hagoromo. Yeah, I think I pronounced it right. Which translate to the Heavenly Maiden's robe. Okay, let me show it here instead, it's easier. This is Hosaku, Good Harvest. This is Honey So Sweet. Yeah, it's all in sock yarn, but I've also added some mohair in between here. This is Mid-Autumn. This one is Mid-Autumn. This one is actually a tested, I mean, it's still in testing color. This color was still in testing when I use it, so it's an unnamed color. Yeah, I can't wait to finish this. Okay. Gambare. Okay, next. Okay, this one. The next whip is the Myrta cardigan. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Myrta cardigan by Catherine Schneider. This is the first pattern that I'm knitting from her, and I really enjoyed it. This is such an easy cardigan, an easy lace knit. It has no cables at all, but it produced really beautiful, really cute lace part in the front full panels, right and left. Excuse me. I'm just drinking water. Okay, so back to this project. Yeah, so the lace is actually really easy. There's no complicated stitches. It's just basically there's no increase as well. Just yarn overs, knit 2 together, knit 3 together. Very easy. But the effect that I've seen on the project page was stunning. So check it out. Oh yeah, the yarn. The yarn that I am using here is the new spring colors from Itobito as well. The name of this is called Momo no Seku. So this is the swatch that I have made, and I've also showcased this swatch on Instagram when I showcased the yarn. And yeah, as I was I also mentioned in Instagram that this color, excuse me, even if there's so much speckles, it doesn't really show on the lace. It doesn't that they not it doesn't they don't disturb the pattern. Yeah, so I think it accentuates the so-called white space here, but they don't really disturb the lacy pattern, which a lot of speckled yarns will have that problem. So what I aim to do is actually providing solutions for lacy designs without disturbing the actual pattern. Yeah. Okay, the next three WIPs are actually test knits. Let's start with this one. Okay, yeah, let's show all three together. Okay, let's start with this one. This is called the Erica Cable Socks by Yuka. It's really beautiful. This is yeah, as you can hear from the name, is cable, but the cable is very easy, very easy to do and easy to remember, and you just need to do the front side. This is how it looks like. It's so pretty, and because the cables are big, so it has a really bold type of design that you can see even from far. Yeah. So when I was doing test knitting this, I also test knitted this as well, which is also another cable sock design. This is the Anne's blouse socks, my name, yes, by Knit Tail, or as known as Delaco. So you can see The cables here are really small, very intricate, and the best thing is, I find, is there's a seamless the design is seamless throughout the front to the back. So when you can see from here, as you turn, the design never stops. It's seamless. So I think this is a really cute and brilliant design, and it has my name on it. Okay. The next test knit was with this is called the Amber Wings socks by Summer Lee Knits. So cute, right? When I saw Summer's Instagram, I immediately fell in love with it. This is so cute. And when she was calling for testing, I just jumped into the bandwagon. I want to test it. I mean, how cute can they go? And it's so easy. With such an easy design, it comes up with such an elaborate and eye-catching result. It's just simply amazing. To me, it's simply amazing. This technique is called the Rosemin. I think it's. I will put it down. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's Rosemin. It's like a color work. It's a type of color work technique. Yeah, and this on top here is the Latvian braiding style, and I think this technique with this matches perfectly. So try it. It's very simple and very fast knit. Okay, I guess that's all for my WIPs. Yeah, I think I will finish some before I start another project, but I cannot guarantee. Right? I hope on the next podcast I can update some of my WIPs into FOs. Okay, so for this installment, the first introduction, as I've mentioned, I wanted to showcase the local hand-dyed yarns brands, and I shall start with mine. Sorry. Yeah, actually I just want to take this opportunity to talk a bit about my mystery club, which it happened in early February, and I think it was a success. I was quite nervous, and I wasn't expecting such big turnout, and I got my timing got a bit off because of the orders that I received. But let me show you the color. So the theme I did this was based on Valentine's, and this is the base yarn. It's in sock base. It's a very adult kind of color with red and brown speckles. And this is the first mini skein which is included, and this is the second mini skein. For the second mini skein, you can see a bit of red speckles in between here. Yeah, so initially, because this is my first club, I didn't know what to include in a club, so I put up a survey on Instagram asking whether they would prefer one skein, prefer one mini skein or two mini skeins club. The result was quite divided. I was quite surprised. Half of them chose one skein, half of them chose two skeins. So okay, I thought that let's do two options for them to choose, for my customers to choose. Eventually, most of them choose two skins. So yeah, it's a fun thing to do. And I mean, sometimes when you do a survey, you get a result and might not reflect what the actual thing is. Very funny. And the name that I use for this club, for this club set, should I call it a club set? Yeah, for this color, okay, for this color set is called Yassam Yassay is 1314 in Cantonese, but it's like a play of words to say that to say Yassang. When you say Yassang to someone, means it literally means forever, but it also has a deeper meaning of I love you forever, or I love you, or I love you only in this lifetime. So it's like how do I put it? It's like it's something like a mystery club. It's like a mystery number. So when people put like 1314 to you, you know that it means that. I hope I managed to convey it properly. So yeah, I'm not sure how should I proceed with the mystery club. Should I do it like a monthly thing, or a bi-monthly thing, or a half-yearly thing? So if you have any suggestions, just let me know. I have some people telling me that they would like to have a mini skin, like mini skin sets, and some also suggested to have like an advent calendar where they have a full month of mini skins. I think that's pretty fun. Yeah, and one of my customer, she mentioned that maybe I can do a knit along for all the club members. I think that's pretty fun as well, because like a knit along itself is something like a club thing, right? So when you are also using a club yarn, it makes sense, right? So I'm taking that into consideration, and I shall think of what pattern and what yarns to match into the whole concept. It'll take some time, but I think it's a very fun process. Okay, let's talk a little about my life in Japan. So my life in Japan so far is pretty good. We have moved to a new place 2 years ago. We stayed in a more city area when we came, uh, in Osaka city area, and now we have moved to somewhere more suburb, but it's still within the city area, and it's a much bigger space, which we are more used to. Yeah, so yeah, we're pretty happy here. And yeah, the COVID situation is getting better, I guess, and we have just lifted the state of emergency this Monday. Yeah, previous Monday we just lifted. So uh, things are livelier. But in fact, when I went to Umeda on Sunday, it was still quite crowded even before the state of emergency was lifted. So I guess people are just quite done with the stay-at-home life, I guess. But I'm happy to see a livelier city. Uh, but at the same time, I'm also worried if the infection rate will spike up again. Yeah. But all in all, I hope that this situation will get better and everyone will get the vaccine soon, and we can get back to our normal life soon. I'm also missing home because I have not been back to Malaysia for almost 2 years, or more than 2 years already. I was supposed to go back. Me and my husband were supposed to go back last year in August. Yeah, because it was the same temperature as in Japan. I went back 1 year when it was in January. It was winter here, but summer all year round in Malaysia, and I got sick really, really bad. So from then I thought that maybe we should go back in August where the temperature is almost the same. So we even bought tickets and everything, and we couldn't go back. I guess that's life. Yeah. So I hope that we can start traveling soon again. We'll see how it goes. Alright, I guess that's all for my first episode. I hope you had fun with me, and I hope you understand me. And I'll see you in the next episode. Yes, for the next episode, I can tell you what I'm going to. I've prepared my next episode, and it's about the spring update for Itobito. Yeah, I've planned an update in the next few weeks. In fact, it should be on the next week, but there are some logistic problem with my yarns. They are not coming in as soon as I want them to, so it might be postponed. But I can introduce some colorways and some bases that I'll be showcasing in the next update. So that will all be in the next episode. But meanwhile, you can check out Instagram where I'll be showing some colors there as well. Yeah, I think that's all. So yeah, give me your feedback on how am I doing, if you like my podcast, any constructive feedback, any questions at all, anything you want me to include in the podcast, just let me know. Okay, see you. Bye bye. Okay, I really want to try this, so let's start. Welcome to the Late Night Podcast with Anne. Yes, I've always wanted to do just that, late night podcasting. It's like a radio sort of event or show, right? So I think it's so professional and fun line. Just that line is so fun. But so yeah, thank you for the opportunity to let me say that line. That's all.